Hi everybody, this is Attorney Sharp Raleigh and we are going to talk a little bit about permanent residence at the port of entry. With all the things going on right now, a lot of permanent residents might have issues at the port of entry when they are entering. And there is a very interesting Know Your Rights that was published by AILA, American Immigration Lawyers Association. So I wanted to comment a little bit on that, especially if you are an LPR or green card holder. So if you are coming back as a returning resident, a returning resident is someone who has stayed outside the United States for more than 180 days. There's a chance that they might consider you. They might try to block you at the airport and try to take your green card. By the way, which is not really legal. They cannot really take your green card at the airport. They usually, what they will do, they will try to convince you to give it away. So what happens in those cases is you have a right to contact your consulate. For example, let's say you're from India, you can contact the Indian consulate. You're from China, the Chinese embassy, etc., etc. And you can you need to not sign. Well, there's a form that they can push you to sign, by the way, and they do that all the time, for you to basically give up on your LPR or your permanent residence. And you don't want to do that, because if you do that, then you gave it away by yourself. You can ask basically that you have a right to, they let you enter and you present yourself in front of a judge, and this is where the judge will make a decision based on that, on your situation at a removal hearing, and they will find out if you really abandon your legal resident, which most of the time most judges, they are more lenient, and they will ultimately grant you. The problem is that once you're inside, then you're stuck while this is going on. Sometimes they will give you just a warning. And a lot of people ask me, hey, what happens? Can I call a lawyer? Well, you might ask the CBP officer permission to call a lawyer, but they can refuse you. And we've seen that many times, and there are litigation on that says that basically at the airport, your right of to have an attorney is not present because you're not really inside the U.S. So this is something that that you need to be aware of. So whenever you're coming back in those kind of trips, my tips are: make sure you bring documents to prove why you stayed outside for so long. Let's say after the 180 days, for example, you were sick or things like that. And also bring documents and prove that you have ties to the United States. For example, you have a business in the US, you have bank accounts, you have everything, a house, etc. So those will show ties to the US, which will ultimately give you a chance on what we call getting back in the US. You need to make sure that you don't basically sign on that paper you abandon your citizenship, your permanent residence. I'm so sorry today. But the other thing that we see, best advice: don't stay outside the United States for more than 180 days unless you have what we call a re-entry permit. What the re-entry permit does, it allows you up to the dates on the re-entry permit to travel outside the US and don't lose your permanent residence. You deem not to have abandoned it in this case. So make sure if you're traveling for a longer period of time, that you have this re-entry permit ready. You don't have to use it if you don't need to, but it's good to have it. So I just recommend people to have it pending if they're planning to stay longer outside than the correct time. So basically you need to make sure that you have all this ready so that you don't have any problem in the future. And if you need help, give us a call, 510-742-5887. This is Attorney Sharp Raleigh. Anything I told you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions.